Hello you beautiful people. Today we're back with another waiver wire pickups and drops video. So it's currently week 12, and normally I divide this video into short-term and long-term pickups, but fantasy playoffs are starting soon, and I plan on making videos every week for fantasy playoff waiver wire ads. So this will just go until the end of the fantasy regular season. So yeah, like and subscribe if you want to, and join the Discord in the description, and with that being said, let's just start the video. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the waiver wire pickups, and it's going to be the player in the thumbnail, Kyle Kuzma. And my reasoning behind this one's fairly self-evident, and it's because of the injuries to LeBron and AD. Kuzma is somewhat inefficient as a scorer this season, but it's just due to the fact that he's had to take a backseat to those two superstar level players. And with them sidelined, I'm expecting Kuzma to have roughly like top 50 fantasy player production over this next stretch. And yeah, if we look back at that season where the Lakers were trash, they didn't have LeBron, and Kuzma was like the number one or the number two option, he was getting a lot of shots up and looking like a really solid player. And yeah, I'm expecting more games like that to come for this next stretch or so. Just he's going to have the occasional game where he has a dud, but just by sheer amount of shot attempts he's going to get up, I'm expecting a lot of solid production, and I think he's a great streaming option while LeBron and AD are sidelined. Next up is someone that I've personally rostered in a few of my leagues, and it's Jordan Poole of the Golden State Warriors. So if we look at his last 7 games, he's actually averaging 35 fantasy points a game in default settings on ESPN points leagues, so definitely on a really good stretch right now. He's a really streaky shooter, I find. Like, he's been on a really good stretch of late, so I think it's definitely worth trying to like get his production now while he's hot. And I don't know if it's sustainable for the long term, so he's definitely a short-term ad, especially while Curry's out. He's getting even more shot attempts, but yeah, just a really good 3-point shooter. He's making 3 threes a game the past 7 days, averaging 21 points, so I don't think that's sustainable at all, but I just feel like you could capitalize on the production of someone that's hot right now. Next up is someone that has been getting rostered in a few more leagues as of late, and he's still not rostered in enough leagues in my opinion. He's only rostered in 56% of leagues, so if for some reason Time Lord's still available on your waiver wire, Robert Williams III, for those of you who don't know, I definitely go ahead and pick him up. He's a really solid contributor, like per minute. He's averaging some nuts stats for like 30, like per 36 minutes, and if we look at it's mainly due to his blocks and his points. Like, he's getting a lot of lobs, easy shots at the rim, and he's a really good shot blocker. So if for some reason Time Lord's still on your waiver wire, I'd definitely go ahead and pick him up. I know the minutes are a bit of a concern, but I feel like even if he only gets like 20 minutes a game, he's just such a solid contributor that he's still going to put up some alright fantasy stats. So the fourth player is someone that honestly I'd never even heard of before like last week, and it's going to be Moses Brown of the OKC Thunder. And with Horford resting what it seems like every second game, I feel like Moses Brown's a really good pickup, especially when Horford's not playing. I mean, if we look at his last week, he's had a few really good games. Nothing like mind-blowing except for one game where he put up 20 and 16. And yeah, I don't know a lot about Moses Brown, but if he's going to get minutes on the Thunder, which are like a young rebuilding team, then I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Thunder try to trade Horford at the deadline. And if that happens, that's just going to open up more opportunity for him. So I could see Moses Brown potentially turning into a more long-term option. But for right now, I think he's a decent short-term option if you want like a high-energy center that's grabbing a decent amount of rebounds and getting a few rolls to the rim. Then we have another Laker, and it's going to be Talen Horton-Tucker. And he's another player that when he gets the minutes, he has really good fantasy production. Like, he's only averaging on the season, I believe it's 18 minutes a game. But with LeBron and AD going out, that's just going to increase. And he's probably going to get up around like 26 to 28 minutes, I would imagine. So that's going to do wonders for his fantasy numbers. And I'm expecting him to have some really good production while these two stars are sidelined. And then last up is another Thunder player, and even though this guy's face kind of creeps me out, it's going to be Isaiah Roby. And if we look at the last 7 days, he's averaging 30 minutes a game. And when you're averaging that many minutes and on a young rebuilding team, you're going to get a lot of opportunity. So he's grabbing a decent amount of rebounds, he's scoring the ball well, and he's getting the occasional block here and there. So he definitely has some decent production for points leagues, and I'd definitely look at picking him up if none of the other guys are available. And yeah, the kind of main thing with these like waiver wire ads is just like due to the stars being out or like being on a young team like the OKC Thunder. So I definitely go ahead and capitalize on that while you can. And yeah, with that being said, let's just go ahead and move on to the drops for this week. So yeah, to start the drops off, it's someone that I don't understand why he's rostered in so many leagues, and it's going to be Kobe White. And as you can see, as I've put here, he's rostered in 76% of leagues, which is just way too high for Kobe White. He's such an inconsistent player, and he just never really does anything consistently other than like turn the ball over and have off games. So I don't really see why he's rostered in so many leagues. I think he's really overrated by Bulls fans in particular. If you watch Rusty Buckets, then you know that he shares a similar sentiment about Kobe White as I do. And yeah, I feel like he's definitely a droppable player at this point in the season, especially now that he's coming off the bench too. I just don't see his fantasy production really having any value on your team. So I think you can definitely get someone better, and I'd definitely drop him if he's on your team. Next up is Eric Bledsoe. Another player that just doesn't really seem to be scoring the ball efficiently, and he's not really contributing much else outside of that. He's really just not a good fit on the Pelicans roster. Him and Zoe as a backcourt just hasn't really been working out for them. And I think he's probably going to get moved, or Zoe's going to get moved. So if Lonzo does happen to get traded, then I think Bledsoe could become a roster option again. But for right now, as it is, I would consider him a waiver wire drop. And then next up is Gary Trent Jr. And this is mainly due to the return of CJ McCollum. And yeah, this is mainly just due to like the same shots that he was getting before just aren't there anymore. He's still been playing a decent amount of minutes. Like his minutes haven't dropped that much since CJ's return, but it's mainly just the shot opportunities have just gone back to CJ as they should. So the last 2 games he scored 3 points and 7 points respectively. So yeah, I just wouldn't consider him a rosterable player at this point. If CJ does get hurt again, or some situation that arises where he is out of the roster, then I could see Gary Trent becoming a viable option again. But for right now, I'm comfortable calling him a waiver wire drop. And then this next one, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know this next one hurts. And it's really hard to say goodbye sometimes, but we're going to have to say that Jalen Brunson, I would consider him a droppable player now. I don't know what's gotten into Rick Carlisle, but he's decided not to play him. And he's only getting like 15, 16 minutes a night. And it really sucks because it looks like he was having a really good season. He's a really solid player, smart player, doesn't turn the ball over that much. Really good, just all-around decision maker. And yeah, I really like Jalen Brunson as a player. Wish he was getting the minutes, but if he's only going to get 15 minutes a night, then I really wouldn't consider him a rosterable player. And he has been getting dropped in a lot of leagues, and I would expect that pattern to continue, and I think you should join it and definitely try to pick up someone else instead. And then to end the video is someone that I don't even understand why they're in the league, and it's going to be Cody Zeller. And he's been on the Hornets forever, and he's just not a very good basketball player. He's just such a bad center. There's so many better options. I don't know why they continue to roster him, but he was getting picked up when he returned from injury, and he just hasn't been performing well at all. So I would definitely drop him if he's on your team. He's just an absolute bum in my opinion, and I would definitely rather have someone that I mentioned in the waiver wire pickups over him. And yeah, with that being said, that's going to wrap up the video. I want to thank you guys very much for watching. Leave your guys' waiver wire pickups and drops in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you all have a great day.